Hey, LinkedIn. I was going to start this event today on procrastination a little bit late, to lead by example. But then I was having microphone issues. And so here we are, 1 minute late for beat procrastination. So, hey, we got it. We're leading by example. So today we're going to take a look at how you can view procrastination from 5 different psychological angles, and with that, how you can take immediate action from those 5 different psychological angles. So, this is Beat Procrastination, taking immediate action. Hey there, I'm Chris Schweigel. I'm CEO and founder of Infinite Skies. We do performance psychology for real estate syndicators. Do you know that you can create systems for your mindset? It's what we do. It's kind of cool. So, hey, how you doing today? Hope you're doing well. This video is for everybody who wants to learn a little bit more about the science of, hey, this is super important. I've got it on my goal sheet. I've got it on my vision board. I know what I've got to do. It's my top priority. Why am I not doing that thing right now? If that's happened to you, and it's happened to me a lot. I think it happened to me today. Hey, full disclosure here. I think it happened to me today. I'm sure it happened to me yesterday. But anyways, if that's happened to you, we're going to take a look at what psychology may say. And like anything with psychology, there are a number of different aspects and avenues of which you could look at one problem. So we're going to be practicing the golden thread method today of psychology. That's where you assess something. I'm procrastinating. I said I was going to work on something. I'm not working on that thing. So that's our assessment and diagnosis. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take different theoretical models and apply it to understanding why this certain thing is happening. And then with that exact same theoretical model, what we're going to do is we're going to hypothesize a way to make it a little bit better. And from there, we're going to create a plan to make it better. And then, of course, always step 5 is assess. Hey, is this working or is it not? Do we need to pivot? All that kind of stuff. So the 5 areas that we're going to be looking at procrastination today are our mood, our impulses, learning new stuff, fear of failure, and no urgency. And I've got my handy dandy research studies here to back it all on up with science. So let's get started. The very first thing that we're going to look at is moods. And there was a study in 2013, procrastination and the priority of short-term mood regulation. Thank goodness for you, I speak psychology nerd. And what I can tell you is you don't want to do it. You don't feel like doing it. It's mood repair. You go to do something and turns out you're in a bad mood. You're in a cranky mood. Maybe halt is there. Halt, remember, is HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If any of those things are present, you're not getting yourself to do much of anything other than having a snack, taking a break, going on a walk, taking a nap, petting the cat, whatever you got to do. So procrastination is mood repair. In fact, in their study, they found that it's a strategy for managing negative moods. So it's a way of your brain and your body saying, hey, you're not going to take a break. We'll do it for you. We'll procrastinate so that you can have a better mood. You're welcome. So it's a sign that you need to add more breaks. But here's another thing, though. They also found that procrastinating and not doing tasks leads to anxiety, leads to worse physical health outcomes. And it's not just about time management. What they found was that it wasn't these people that in their research study weren't managing their time best. They realized that there was emotions involved in the work that they said they were going to do. So procrastination is a way of your body and brain saying, I'm not ready to face those emotions of doing that project, so I'm going to skip out on this. So how do you fix that? If you need mood repair, what do you do? Well, there's some ways to prevent it. Mindfulness is one. That would be any sort of practicing of a gratitude, writing things down in a journal, sitting down quietly with your thoughts, closing your eyes and just taking in the five senses. All of those things are proactive ways that you can prevent procrastination tomorrow. And also, you can consider what are the emotional triggers there. Think about this. When you keep a little post-it note next to your desk, and every time you feel like procrastinating, write down the task of which you are procrastinating to do and write down how you're feeling. Put 3 or 4 different feelings there, and you'll start to figure out your emotional triggers. So when those emotional triggers are going to be your kind of lighthouse, your beacon. When you start to feel these things, you know that it's going to be really, really difficult to work on a task. Then we can look to other parts of psychology and DBT to say, hey, if you want the opposite of that emotion, you've got to do the opposite action. So let's say you're going to go do something and you realize that, oh, I'm feeling insecure. Great. So what is the opposite feeling of insecure? Feeling secure or comfortable. So what are some things that you can do to feel secure or comfortable? You could call your mom or dad, or you could watch an old YouTube SNL clip that you love. You could do a crossword puzzle for a few minutes, play a game, do whatever it is that makes you feel secure and comfortable. You could remind yourself of other things that you've accomplished in your life, whether you have a trophy case or awards that were given to you, testimonials, nice things that were said about you, ways that you can feel comfortable and secure and confident in who you are. Last, on this mood repair, you can figure out ways to cope with those emotions. Now, this could involve more therapeutic work on your part, but if you can find a way that you can cope with feelings of insecurity, feelings of avoidance, feelings of inferiority, then your procrastination will also be reduced in time. So, mood repair is one thing that procrastination is. It's your body and brain saying, hey, we need a break. Another aspect, this is number 2 of the psychological reasons of procrastination, is impulsivity. This is basically or emotional dysregulation, as we'd call it in psychology. In the real world, we'll call this you're going to do what you want. You don't want to do it. You don't feel like doing it. There's other better things to do right now. There's more fun in the short term than working on something that will help you in the long term. So this is all about emotional regulation. And this is all about getting yourself to think about the long term versus the short term. So this is all about, from the study, The Nature of Procrastination, a meta and analytical and theoretical review of quintessential self-regulatory failure by Dr. Piers Steele. Now, what that means, again, is you don't want to do it. And what Dr. Steele found in this meta-analysis, meta-analysis is an analysis of other analyses. So you do a study, and then you put it into the psychological literature, and then a meta-analysis is saying, hey, of everything that's been done, what do we know? And for all you people who are live streaming on Facebook, I'm talking about a meta-analysis on meta. But back to this. He found that procrastination is a pervasive issue of self-regulation. Pervasive means it's doing the wrong thing. So you're not regulating the right parts of your brain and body. Instead, what you're doing is you're focusing on the short term instead of the long term. So getting yourself to focus on the long term is going to be really beneficial. It's negatively correlated with achievement, and negatively correlated with conscientiousness, which means how well you are in tune with your body. So when you're procrastinating, You're not in touch with your body. You're not in touch with what's going on with you. And so you're just letting your mind wander and do whatever it wants. You're not in charge of you when you're procrastinating. So, how do we get you in charge of you instead of a shadow you in charge of you when you're not being you? Well, here's the first technique, our old bud Pomodoro technique. You're going to find it on any cheat sheet if anyone wants to do some tofu content on LinkedIn. The Pomodoro technique is a way that you can manage your energy and manage your anti procrastination abilities over time. Basically, there's like little periods or stages of working. You work for 25 minutes, take a break for 5 minutes. Note here, get away from screens. Bonus points if you can get outside. So 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. 25 minutes on, half hour off. By that time, it's probably going to be lunch or snack time anyway. Lucky for you, Jeopardy takes a half hour. So go and watch Jeopardy or go on a walk, do some burpees, whatever you got to do to feel like yourself a little bit more. That's the Pomodoro technique. That's a way to keep you in charge of you instead of letting your impulsivity reign supreme. Next thing you can do, and this is something that I do personally, the night before or the day before, you get out your Post-it note. Look at these double wide, baby. So what you got to do with these double wides is you got to write down all the things that you're going to do tomorrow. And then you've already got your Post-it notes ready to go. So when you sit down, there's no chance that you're not going to do your work. Well, I suppose there's still a chance. There's always a chance, right? But you've got it set in front of you, your Post-it note of things that are a priority, of things that have to get done the next day. So there's not sipping your coffee, turning your computer on. Let's see what's on YouTube. Oh, what do you know? YouTube wants me to watch this. And how did they know I loved this and this and this? So you're not distracted. Make yourself a Post-it note of the things you want to do the next day. And here's a bonus tip. I shut the door behind me to the office when I'm done. That's something I've started to do about 6 months ago. So I'm done working. It's a physical boundary so that I can't get into this beautiful office. What I do is I put a Post-it note on the door. And so if anything in my mind comes up, I don't want to like think about it until the next day and like have to keep it in my mind. I write it on the Post-it note that's on the door. And so then when I go to work the next day in my home, then I can start working on that stuff that's on my Post-it already. There's a bonus tip for you there. Last but not least, the big things that you got to do, the meetings, the deep work, the creativity work, all that kind of big stuff, put it on your calendar. I went to a goals retreat once a couple years ago. The great Robert Helms said, I'm going to teach you time management in 10 seconds. You take all of your to-do list and you put it on your calendar. Now you've got 5 seconds for free. Just brilliant. Put it on the calendar. Make it important to you. You're going to resist that calendar at first. You're going to say there's not enough time, or I not want to do something else. Or as soon as we create structure, we want to break that structure. It's human nature. But over time, you will learn to respect the calendar. And so I would recommend doing that. So the second psychological angle of procrastination, being impulsive. Let's move on to the third. The third is the one that affects me the most. And that is, dude, this shit's hard. This stuff is hard to do. And it's hard for me to get psyched up to learn something new that I don't know how to do. It's really hard for me to continuously get rejected, to continuously try and fail, to continuously put myself out there and make mistakes, even though that's what business is. That's what when we sign on the dotted line, that's what we're saying we're going to do. We are going to fail way more than we're going to succeed. And sometimes it's just hard to learn new stuff. This is all about, thank you, Harvard undergrads. I feel like half of what we know about psychology is due to Harvard undergrads. So shout out to you, Harvard undergrads. This is another study from you called Academic Procrastination in College Students, the Role of Self-Reported Executive Function by Lauren Rabin et al., 2011. So what that means, academic procrastination, college students, they don't want to learn stuff. The role of self-reported executive function self-reported because maybe they couldn't get funding for another sort of way to report. But executive function is thinking, doing, learning, all that kind of stuff that we love doing at work that gives us purpose and fulfillment. And what they found was when kids had a bunch of stuff to do, there was like a correlation between how hard they thought the thing that they were learning was going to be and how much they procrastinated. The easier the thing is, the lower the procrastination. The harder it is to do, at least their perception, what they think is going to be the hardest, they delayed the most. So if you got this big thing that you're working on, maybe you're learning how to code a website. Maybe you're trying to do your first LinkedIn Live. Maybe you're trying to reach out and do some DMs for the first time, put together your first networking event, or maybe you're doing your first presentation. You are going to want to avoid that at all costs because, according to Rabin et al., because it's just hard to do. Because it's just hard to learn hard stuff. And what they found is if you have self-awareness, like we talked about in number 2, if you're aware in your body that you are procrastinating, that helps. Also, what they found is procrastination leads to economic and academic underachievement. Duh, we know that already, right? But also, it leads to deficits in executive function. That means the ability to think, learn, and create. So literally not practicing, putting it off, procrastinating makes you worse at doing the thing. So maybe Brian Tracy was right with that Eat That Frog book. If you have something very, very hard to do, just do it right away. Get it over with. You'll feel good, but it's hard to do. So here's 3 action steps that you can take today when things are hard, but you want to move forward. Number 1, create a big, hairy, audacious goal for your life. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll be in the stars, they say, right? Impact 1 million people. Raise $500 million. Feed your entire state for a day. Huge, huge, huge goals that are outside of your body, that are above you, that are a great big why, will motivate you when times are hard because you've got more stuff to figure out. This is just a milestone for you. And so it takes a little bit of the pressure off. Next, what you can do is you can create a vision board. So instead of all these goals being in your head, now you can see it. Now you can see it up on the wall and it makes you happy, it makes you feel good. Again, we are getting another part of your brain activated here instead of just the frontal cortex. Next, what you can do is you can take small, actionable steps. So you've got your big, hairy, audacious goal. And what you can do from that is break it down into small steps. If you're going to raise $500 million, you don't wake up the next day and say, how can I raise $500 million today? Shoot, I didn't do it. Next day, how can I raise $500 million? Shoot, I didn't do it. Next day, how can I raise $500 million? It doesn't work like that. You have milestones. Maybe you have some education that you need to do, different networking that you need to do. Maybe you need to work on your personal storytelling or your pitch or your presentation, your one-liner, your elevator speech, your website, your CRM, whatever that might be. These are tiny little milestones that are going to lead up to your big, hairy, audacious goal. Next, don't set annual goals. An annual goal is too long. It's too long in time to work towards. You lose motivation. You can't keep yourself motivated that long. Monthly, if you can. Adjust every month for the goal that you're working on. Keep them small. Again, what you want are kind of 2 subsets of goals. You want that big, huge, hairy, audacious goal. And then you want a number of really, really, really tiny goals. That's the way that you kind of kick procrastination down. And if you're interested in how you can create goals that are anchored in your subconscious, I've got an exciting workshop that I'm starting next week. Yeah, we start next Tuesday. It's 2 weeks. It's 2.5 hours each week. And what we do is we Create goals that are anchored in your subconscious. I love this stuff. We got rave reviews from the beta test group. It was super, super, super fun. And one person said, it's like putting your goals on automation. It kind of is. I mean, you got to do some work here. But the part of it that's really cool is it's in your subconscious, and then we create emotional triggers and sensory triggers. So you're constantly creating a wider and wider neural pathway. One person in there said, it's all I could think about all week long. So be careful what your goals are if you're anchoring them in your subconscious, because they're going to come true. I'll leave a link to that course down below. That's going to be a live one-to-many workshop. My good friend Mirto and I are doing this. We're doing it this Tuesday and then the next Tuesday. So it'll be the 12th and the 19th. We would love to see you there. All right, let's get back to procrastination. We procrastinate on procrastination. So the fourth way that we're going to look at procrastination, according to psychology, is a biggie. This one is perfectionism, or a fear of failure. Now, this is deeper than just the mood that you're in, or I can't seem to concentrate right now, or it just seems hard. This is a long-term chronic thing. So this is deep within your psyche. And so we're looking at A Day Late and a Dollar Short, the story of procrastination and lateness by Dr. Joseph Ferrari. And what he found was that if you look at the brain, there are striking similarities between self-sabotage, being a victim, procrastinating, and being late. And the reason why he thought this was the case is because he thought people had a real fear of failure. And so if you could procrastinate and take on that anxiety, that's going to be easier for you to swallow than making a mistake. And he thought of this as having a low sense of self-efficacy. Now, self-efficacy, is a psychological jargon word. And basically what it means is, do you believe that you can do what you're going to do? Like, how good are you at adulting, basically? And this is straight out of Albert Bandura in his like social learning theory, social determination theory. Basically, can you perform when you need to perform? Another way to put this is, how many deposits have you put into your personal bank? If you say that you're going to do something and you do it, there's a coin in your bank. If you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you take a coin out of the bank. How many coins do you have in your personal bank? The more you have, the less you'll procrastinate. The more you say you're going to do something and you do it, the less you'll procrastinate. This is another one of those, are you in charge of you? But this is deeply rooted. Self-sabotage is very, very, very tricky to manage, and it's very powerful. You could be getting close to a goal, and then you put it off because you're afraid of the goal. You're afraid of who you're going to become. You're afraid of making a mistake. So what you do instead is, I'll just mess up here where it's easier. Fewer people will notice. There was a really interesting study done back in the 70s with SAT scores, where they had kids say, what do you think you're going to get on the SAT? And what they found was what kids thought they were going to get on their SAT, what they actually got were strikingly similar. Well, they're like, okay, makes sense. Kids are good at knowing themselves. No, the underlying cause of that was a self-fulfilling prophecy. The kids who thought they were going to do well studied and did well. The kids who didn't think they were going to do well didn't study, got drunk the night before, went out late, showed up late to the ACT. Dude, still got a 1330. But anyways, so there was some self-sabotaging there. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Can you do it if you say that you're going to do it? If you're going to start a diet tomorrow, are you going to? If you're going to go without alcohol for the month of March, are you? That's important for procrastination. Now, here's some three action steps that you can take today. 1, instead of having to do an A+, define what's a B- for you. Let's say you want to do your first LinkedIn Live. What would be a B- for you? Maybe that it actually goes live and your camera is working. Then you would be doing a better job than me on my first LinkedIn Live. or you have one person attend, or maybe zero people attend. It just gets done. So figure out what's good enough for you, what's passing for you, and have that be your goal. Next, let's develop your self efficacy. Let's start to get you some more coins in your personal bank. Let's get you celebrating small wins. No doubt you already have them, you've just been forgetting to celebrate them. So jot down all the little things you do each day and take a moment to celebrate them. Because what you're going to do here is you're going to be putting more coins into that bank. I'm guessing if this is you and you have a fear of failure and you have to be perfect at every single thing, everything has to be an A plus or it's not worth doing. What I'm guessing is you don't have a little coin slot in your personal bank, just a huge, huge, like Scrooge McDuck size coin slot. We need to make your coin slot smaller. So we need to get you celebrating small wins. And last, not even celebrating small wins, let's have you celebrating effort. What does effort mean to you? If you can just try and then take a break and celebrate, just try doing something new, then go on a walk. Try doing something new, and then have a little bit of chocolate. I think we can all agree having a little bit of chocolate, even having a huge bit of chocolate, there are no consequences to eating a lot of chocolate. So get out there and disregard that last thing I said, but get out there and celebrate your efforts. It doesn't matter if you do it or not. We all know that you've got to just go out there and try. A lot of the things that I've done in a business career were things I didn't actually want to do or have any sort of plan. I just kind of did it. You know, these things where someone just kind of like pushes you into action, or maybe someone needs something that you're not prepared for, or you're in the ninth grade and you're going to ask someone to prom. No, it was homecoming. And your friend, David, calls the girl that you are too afraid to call and then tosses the phone to me. It's like, dude, I had to call her. I had to ask. She said, yeah. So I had to go on this date with this girl. But anyways, if you have a fear of failure, the way to do this is to get you in control of yourself and celebrate your efforts. It's also a great big chronic problem. Talking with a therapist may help, talking with someone who knows performance psychology or can get into the roots of that resistance is going to be really, really helpful. Otherwise, you're going to continue kind of shaving this weed off. You know, if it's like a weed that's growing in your garden, you can kind of trim it, but it's always going to grow back. If you can dig up to the roots and uproot it, that's going to be really, really positive for you and for your business moving forward. All right, the fifth angle that we're going to take from psychology to procrastination is all about no urgency. Have you ever noticed how quickly you work the day before a vacation? Have you ever noticed when there's a deadline approaching that you don't want to watch Jeopardy on TV or play a phone game or do anything like that? That you are set in stone. You're delegating like that. You're getting stuff done. You're crossing things off that aren't important. You're doing things that are important. You're talking with who needs to be talked to. You're doing what you have to do to get things done. So procrastination could be that there's just no urgency. If you're thinking of the Eisenhower matrix, where we've got urgent and important, urgent, not important, not important, not urgent, and not important, but urgent, we tend to focus on number one and number three, right? The things that are urgent, whether they are important or not, generally get our attention. And we generally don't have time for number two, which is stuff that's important and will move the needle for your life or for your business or relationships, whatever that might be. But they're not urgent. They don't need to be done today. This is powerful because this is where you get your deep work, your flow state. This is where you get creativity. This is where you get all that kind of collaboration and planning and all that kind of really good strategic stuff that needs to push your business forward. It's all in that important but not urgent. So you could be procrastinating because it's not urgent. At least that's what Klaus Wurtenbrook thought in 2002 with his study Procrastination, Deadlines, and Performance, Self-Control by Pre-Commitment. And what he goes through and finds and theorizes in his study is that pre-commitment means committing to a deadline. So here's 3 things you can do today. Number 1, create deadlines. I'm going to get this small step done by 3:00 today, and then I'm going to take a break. I'm going to raise $1,000,000 by the end of this month. I've got these things set up, and that's good. I've got urgency. So you've got to figure out a way to create urgency. And what he found out was that there's kind of 3 ways to do this. And so I'm going to share those with you now. Number 1, clear your space of distractions. So instead of having a microphone in your face, instead of having all sorts of other things that you have going on and other post-it notes and pens and highlighters and keyboards and crap, clear your space, make it as minimal as possible so that your mind can focus on just the task at hand. Your work environment plays a big part in your procrastination. Clear it up, your procrastination will likely clear up some. Next, what you need to do is you need to find yourself a dedicated workspace where there's no distractions. This is your own personal private space, void of other people, other things, whatever might distract you. For me, unfortunately, I love music, but I cannot work with music because I start to think about what's the key signature? What key is it in? Or what's the time signature? I would have produced this part differently. I would have added this drum fill, not this drum fill. I think that this instrument sounds misplaced, or I love this, or I'm weeping because Beyonce and Jay-Z broke up and she made an awesome album about it that we will never ever forget. Thank you, Beyonce. So I can't have music when I'm working because it distracts me. It's just a part of my work environment. And you also notice that I'm facing this way. I've got my board here. So when I'm thinking strategy, I go to the board. When I'm doing my flow state, deep work, whatever it is, it's right here. Up above here, what you can't see are pictures of my family. I got my vision board, pretty much everyone laughing, loving. I've got a picture of me doing a big fat toe turn on a snowboard with sweet old like snow tail behind it. Just things that make me feel free because I want to feel free when I'm doing my work. Last but not least, get yourself around some supportive people. This is the power of masterminds. This is the power of a support group, of getting together in person or online. It doesn't really matter. I'm sure there's going to be more studies about that as things go on. But get around people who know that you want to be held accountable. Get around people who know what you're working on and will keep you accountable. Be around people who can give you consequences if you don't do what you say you're going to do. If you're building your self-efficacy, again, you do what you say you're going to do, and you're not all that great at it, or you're learning, or maybe you're a B plus or A plus, or you need to really solidify that part, get other people to play that role for you. Get around people who love you and support you and root for you, but also will kind of hold you to the fire and give you a kick in the pants when you need it. That's what's really important. So to wrap up here with procrastination, we took a look at it from 5 different psychological angles. 1, procrastination could be repairing your crappy mood. Second, it could be impulsivity. You don't want to do the work because there's something in the short term that's distracting. Third, maybe you are procrastinating because the stuff you're working on is just plain hard and you need to psych yourself up to do it. And you need to manipulate kind of what you're thinking in order to get that done. Next, it could be because you are fearing failure. You don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to fall on your face. You don't want to be ridiculed. Everything needs to be perfect. So it's easier for you psychologically to just not try. And last, maybe you're procrastinating because you've got all the time in the world. You need to cut your time. Interestingly enough, every single client I've ever worked with chose to be a real estate investor or syndicator because they didn't want to have a boss. And then a week into it, they're like, dude, I'm not getting any crap done. I need a boss. And so they hire me in part to be their boss, to keep them accountable, to provide some urgency, to get them to work on something. Because our bodies don't want to be great. Our bodies want to have an easy life. And our whole mind and our whole body are set up really to make life easy, to make life less dangerous. And so some of this stuff could be past hurts with you. Some of this stuff could be what you're feeling right now. And some of this stuff could be ways that you need to add little tricks or manipulations to your brain to get you to be like, bruh, easy isn't getting the job done. So, my hope is that that is helpful for you. If you have any questions about this, please reach out. I'm always happy to teach or coach or answer questions, whatever that is. No big deal. You can find me on LinkedIn. I've got a master class there, which is has a lot of the things that we were talking about today, especially things like um, gratitude and mindfulness, ways that walks will help you be more productive, ways that your work environment will help you be more productive. So that's a video and a tip from me every single day for 3 weeks, so that you can add more psychology to your business to boost your productivity. I've got a newsletter. It's the next one's coming out tomorrow. Comes out on Thursdays. That's for people who are interested in the psychology of investing. This stuff is like super fascinating to me because money and investing has so much emotion in it that it's really, really, really hard. And maybe I would even say impossible to make logical investing decisions. So you got to know your psychology when it comes to money and investing. And of course, if you want my help, I'm always here. You can find me. My clients, I'm so stoked for them. They've raised their income 35% in 2023. We'll see what happens in 2024. I think things are looking really good. So I'm Chris Schwegel, CEO and founder of Infinite Skies. Please do not procrastinate. Leverage your psychology so that you don't beat yourself up, so that you get the job done. Burn bright. Don't burn out. See ya.